And welcome to another episode of the Boatfeed. I'm Alan Block, joined by Matt Knighton, Volvo Ocean Race veteran and winner. And we are here to tell you all about, well, like five-ish, and analyze what's going on the water right now.
We're calling this the halftime show, right? We're halfway through the race. We're kind of, popping up in the middle of a leg. We're going to touch on a whole bunch of different things.
You got a graphic for that? Okay.
No, we're going to have to make one.
All right.
Yep, it's up there somewhere.
All right. And today we've got a really special guest for you. We've got our Dial-an-OBR, and it's Sam Greenfield, who is just the best. So we'll talk to Sam. We're going to analyze our favorite video picks from this leg and have a discussion about some of the incredible stuff that came off going up through the doldrums and through the equator. And then we've got we'll discuss the current leg to Auckland. Mm-hmm. And then I think finally we've got some breaking news. Ish. Breaking news yesterday.
All right. So first, we got to thank our sponsors. Obviously, INMARSAT, official satellite communications provider for the Volvo Ocean Race, who's not just responsible for all the content coming off from the OBRs and communicating that via their satellites, but also keeping the crew safe with their features on board the boat. So thank you for INMARSAT. And then we've also got some.
You got your Abu Dhabi MUSTO sweater
I dusted
on.
It off. Just
I've got this awesome no wrinkle shirt that every person going to a regatta should have.
Yep.
And let's hear a new word from MUSTO. They put together a really nice ad. Let's check it out. Welcome, Sam Greenfield, one of the best, one of the most innovative, one of the funniest guys out there, and one of my favorite all-time OBRs. And Sam Greenfield, welcome to Dial-an-OBR on the Boatfeed.
Thanks, Clean. It's great to be here.
Yeah, man. Sweet. So, Sammy, you're taking a leg off right now, right? You're in Bermuda, taking some R&R, getting a little bit stronger, eating good meals. How's it been? How's it been to be off just for a couple of days?
Yeah, as you can see, I'm definitely not on one of the boats right now. It's been really good. I know a lot of people don't like to step away from the race. It's hard to get away from the race because there's a natural rhythm that goes with it. But let's be honest, this race is really gnarly and really tough. And if you can step away and recharge for a leg, especially going into a big one like the Southern Ocean leg we've got coming up, I think it's super valuable, and I'm making the most of it every day, eating tons.
Nice, man. So, okay, we've got some questions for you. We figured that you're one of the veterans this time around on board. You obviously did the race last time, and so just wanted to throw a few questions your way to give all of our viewers a better picture about what life on board's like. going to talk about drones. We're going to talk about some of the things that happened in the last leg and what the OBRs are kind of going through right now. So, I mean, jumping right into it off the bat, I think, you know, you're most well known for your crazy Top Gun skills off the boat. Certainly the drone stuff has really ratcheted up this race, I feel like. So, I mean, you're the first person that ever flew a drone off of a Volvo boat. What was that like, and kind of what's the technique that you've evolved? I'm sure a lot of viewers would be curious about that.
Well, everyone is just killing it now. I mean, if you look at the content coming off all the boats, everyone's gotten so good at flying these things, and it's awesome to get that perspective from every boat. But it is so night and day different than 3 years ago when we were flying on this like Phantom 2, and you know, you had to go down below and take the GoPro. You had like maybe 1 or 2 GoPro 4s on board, and you screw the thing into the drone. And you're like, all right, I hope I don't lose you. And then you screw your monitor and all your aerials onto the screen, and you work through the static. So like the first time we flew it was on leg 3 going from Abu Dhabi to China. And man, I was, I don't want to say, well, let's just say I had no balls when it came to this thing. I basically like waited till we were in the biggest high pressure system in the Indian Ocean with not like absolute glass doldrums conditions. And then we were like, sent it off really gingerly and just expected it to blow up and crash in the ocean. And all the French guys were like, "You're going to lose this thing." So everyone was just blown away to see this thing hovering by the boat. And now you literally are just like, all right, you throw it together in the hatchway and wait for the period in the waves coming over the deck and just kind of toss it off the back. And you're asking about the technical side of it, how you do that.
Yeah, what's the technique? Like, for everybody wondering where you're launching them and how you're retrieving them, like what sort of stuff are you guys coming up with in order to do that?
All right. Well, so everyone's probably seen that we're flying with DJI Phantom drones, and every DJI drone, as I'm sure millions of people know, has these 3 little switches on the side. And basically you've got a GPS mode, a sport mode, and this thing called ATTI mode. And ATTI mode is basically just manual. I don't know what attitude stands for, but when you flick it to that mode, it turns off all the GPS, all the sensors. The only thing that actually is working on it is the altitude hold feature. So basically, you go to the back of the boat, you find the driest spot, which is either up by the aerial or maybe it's downwind if the wind is coming over the beam. And you basically hold the drone out and flick it into ATTI mode, turn your props on, and when it's in this mode, it's just really light, and you can just let it go gracefully, and altitude up, the wind blows it away, and off you go. And then to retrieve it, same thing. You put it in that ATTI mode, and it's a bit harder. You get yourself to sort of a safe high spot where there's nothing you can fly into, and just fly it into yourself with a bit of steam. And
because I mean, one of the things that happens with these drones is if it is in GPS mode, what's going to happen? The satellite will grab it, and it's just going to hover in one spot. So if you got a Volvo boat that's doing 15 knots, you don't want to have to let go of the controls or something, or even slow down the controls, because it's just going to stop itself. So that ATTI mode, you keep your momentum, right? And that way the momentum just tracks with the boat, and it's much more easier to land on it, right?
yeah, if it initializes it and the GPS mode all of a sudden is 50 feet away, the drone will try and fly to your hand. So you get rid of all the danger of a really erratic drone. And yeah, ATTI mode, that's the way to go. Go fly your drones offshore.
So, okay, in the America's Cup last year, Sam, like you flew underneath an AC-50, and we all thought that was like the holy grail, right? We were doing a video for Red Bull, and I remember you and I were both on the chase boat. We kind of like dared each other to do it, and there it was. And you flew it twice underneath. What's the holy grail in your mind like that for the Volvo? What are you thinking?
Well, first you got to have Matt there egging you on, or else it's not going to get done. That's one thing I learned. It's a really good question. I think that it's starting to. Okay, I used to think it was going to be like this big waves, big wind, and I think it still is. And now we're flying it in like 25 plus knots of breeze, and like for example, coming into China, Nico actually let the boat go level and let me launch it when we had full water, and then did it again for retrieval so that we got crazy high-speed water footage. But what hasn't been done yet are giant waves, which we did have on leg 3, but there was 50-knot winds, and I wish I just sent it off and filmed that now. That's my biggest regret, I'd say, so far, was not just sending it and maybe losing it, but trying. So I think that the big wave stuff still hasn't been done, and I'm really excited for this upcoming leg because we just got to get that shot. That's it.
Nice.
Um,
So faster wind speeds and bigger waves.
Is the stuff that comes down through the Wi-Fi or whatever signal it is it high def enough for you to use even and capture even if you lose the drone after that, or do you have to get the cart?
well, that's the has been the conundrum is no, it would be like 720p as it gets recorded on your device, but actually now there is DJI has a product out that will record natively to it in 4K. You can lose the drone. We just got to go buy that. It's a question of swiping the credit card.
We all do it at some point during the race. You bring your own kit.
Yeah, so that'll happen. But I think the holy grail, which hasn't really happened yet, is I've just started watching lots of FPV drone pilots on Instagram, and the stuff these guys are doing. I mean, like we're like we can call what we're doing aerial cinematography, maybe loosely, because it's still, if it's a DJI drone, it's not like you have like a real red or a rig on it. I mean, we're like backyard cinematographers compared to what like real guy production companies are using. But these FPV pilots are so talented. Stuff they do in cityscapes and stuff like that. I mean, I think if you were able to fly one of these things off the boat and like whiz around the sails or go through the rigging, I mean, that would be pretty next level. But I don't know if it would be welcome. I think that's just...
I still keep putting my challenge out there, which is I want to see the drone go down through the through the front hatch, through the boat, and come out through the companionway. I know the drone racers could do it.
Dude, you just need to go get yourself a DJI Spark and make that happen.
Is that the little one?
Yeah, get the tiniest drone you can.
How cool would that shot be?
Yeah.
That would be sweet. We who was it? Simeon is actually really into coming up with stuff to shoot. He was egging me on to do like the drone with the lights on it last leg, and so we put a loom cube on it and did it. But he's like, all right, well, why don't we get to the doldrums and we'll get a shot where the drone flies from far away and someone catches it, it lands it on deck, it goes down the hatch, you walk through the boat, you can see what everybody's doing, comes out the back and then flies away kind of seamlessly. I'm like, well, damn, Simeon, like, thank you, that's great.
It's pretty clever.
That's awesome. It happens all the time.
Best
right?
creativity is a good memory sometimes, I guess. Yeah. Or
you know, it kind of leads into the next question, but it's funny how much the guys that you're racing with really help you out with what you come up with, right? Like, I mean, that was my experience last race. Half the time, I feel like the most creative things actually came from the sailors with just egging you on to do something. So
no, you're absolutely right about that, and it all comes down to A, how into it they are.
Yep.
B, if they like you, if you haven't pissed them off too quickly, and that's one of the things you really have to be careful about with this new program, because you can find yourself jumping on a boat, not even knowing a crew. And having to get right into it.
Yeah.
So
tell us a little bit more about that. Like, what's, you're taking this leg off, they're rotating OBRs. How has that, changed the race from the last time? Because you've got both perspectives.
Yeah. I'm guilty of really being on both sides of the fence with this one. And I've allowed myself to get bummed out because you're moving around. But then you just have to remember, like, you're having access to so many crews, and your content and your colors are so varied and colorful, and it's a challenge, and you just have to kind of rise to it and work a bit harder. So it forces me and other OBRs to just be better and to be more considerate, and you just have to get in there and make it work, because if it doesn't, it's really miserable, and you don't really have a choice. So the name of the game is be aware of what you're doing that might piss people off. Be aware of how much you're failing, if you're filling up water kettles, if they want you to do a schedule, and just, we're not cooking meals anymore like we used to, Matt. Well, you never had to.
He didn't have to, no. He was on the VIP plan.
I was lucky.
Yeah, no, it's, who said it to me? One of the sailors, I think it's like TJ, said to me at one point, he's like, you can do great an entire leg, but all it takes is one mess up for them to remember and maybe judge you a bit by. So you have to be on it, and I've been on it, and I've definitely had my weaker moments where I've probably pissed off some sailors. So it's just trying to build on that.
Yeah, it's always a fine line, isn't it? So
yeah, but it's definitely a bit harder when you're not locked in with the crew and you have their trust and they know that you're invested in the program. Like, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, my motto was always, if you're taking your job seriously, if you're being a professional, working your butt off, the guys are going to respect that, because that's exactly what they're doing. So, you just got to do 110% every day.
It's tough though. I mean, like some of the most interesting stuff is going to be when people are at their least guarded, and some people just don't want their least guarded to ever appear before the public. You know.
Yes, this is true. I've been on 3 boats now, and I've seen the full gambit, but the majority of the crews are really media friendly, and the majority will really answer whatever you ask them. It's just you can't be afraid to ask them. So,
Sweet. So Sammy, talk us through, I mean, think about 9 days into this leg. Walk us through where you would be at mentally and emotionally as an OBR 9 days into a leg. I've certainly got, I remember how I was feeling, but I'm just kind of curious to see, what your process is waking up on day 9 or 10.
well, it how do you say this? They're all different depending on if you're going left and right or up and down. So right now they're going up and down, which means that the sunrise and sunset are staying the same every day. But um, you know, they're probably right now just getting into a good rhythm. The hardest part is the first week. It feels really long. You're getting acclimated to the boat. Once you get past the first week, you get into what I like to call the tractor beam, and it just starts going faster and faster and faster, and you get into your rhythm where you're getting yourself up for sunrise or sunset, and you're starting to probably submit your deliverables around the same time each day, and it's manageable. But I would say it looks like they've had some pretty wet and wild conditions. It may look nasty, it may look gnarly, but it's warm water, and these guys are all and guys and girls are all really experienced now. So I'd say they're probably doing pretty well.
Nice. All right.
But also on that note, if you're going up and down, not left and right, sunrise and sunset isn't changing, so you have the added luxury that you don't have to adjust your shooting times each day, which is nice.
Well, that's the hardest part about like Southern Ocean legs is you're going so fast, west to east that literally the day is shorter every single day, and you're just killing yourself because you're shooting sunrises and sunsets, and so it actually is a pretty difficult leg for an OBR like that. But I remember, yeah, exactly. Times in a day. I remember Chooney, last race, always told me his advice was you get till day 10. And if you can get to day 10 mentally without looking or thinking about, arriving at the next port, then you're going to be fine the rest of the leg. But it's figuring out a way to make it through those first 10 days without looking at your tracker or your ETA timing or anything like that. Just keep your head down, and then you wake up on that day 10 and you're in a better place. But it can drain you mentally, I think.
And until you hit the doldrums on a leg like this, you have no idea when you're going to get in. So
Yep.
what's the point? You're just going to hurt yourself.
Exactly. So, okay, doldrums. This didn't happen in the doldrums in leg 4. I don't think it was either right before or right after it. But man, I was holding my breath during the Scallywag incident. Man overboard.
Alex went overboard. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it just, I mean, the footage was great. I thought, Conrad did a really good job covering it, and I remember my own protocols if that happened as an OBR. I'm just curious to hear from a safety perspective, Sammy, like, what your specific protocol is should that happen.
Well, fingers crossed that never happens. And Conrad did an awesome job with that. And hats off to the crew for getting him back quick. And that was all really positive. But, it's like you said, you want to have a system in place if something ever happens, whether it's a man overboard or a rig goes down. So you try and, always have a Garmin charged and ready to go in the hatchway. And you always have your batteries, and your camera is never, it's like a gun. It's never not loaded with its battery and a memory card ready to roll. And there are spots in the boat where you can position cameras and have them ready to go. And of course, once somebody or something happens, we have a crash button, which is in the hatchway. And more often than not, the sailing team will use that too if something happens, to hit this button. And what it does is it captures everything. I think it's 4 or 6 minutes before, 4 to 6 minutes after. So that's how you paint the basis of the story. And then you grab you have your Garmin in your pocket all the time, or it's in the hatchway, and you have your big camera, and you just run to what's happening and start shooting, and be quiet, shoot what's happening. And once you get a sense of what's happening afterwards, you get your follow-up interviews to add some context. But
Yeah.
I think it's just like what Conrad did. You just, maybe you're not going to get every part of it, but you shoot what you can, and then you put it together afterwards.
So this is curious because, you know, for me it was a little bit different. Like, and maybe this is the change with rotating OBRs, but like on Abu Dhabi, because I guess, you know, we were sailing the race last time with a lot less people, right?
Right.
So my instruction always was, if there was a man overboard incident, to drop my camera and I was going to jump on one of the runners, just because at that point we're not racing, right? We're trying to save a life, and you use every man possible. I guess it's different now in these teams where you have more people on the boats that can cover all the positions, so the OBR is actually freed up to shoot. But I didn't know if you had any comms with the skippers whenever you got on a new team.
That's an interesting one, Matt. No, and going back to like when I was with Dongfeng last time, that was never the discussion. It was just sort of, they assume I was there to shoot, and I think it's like if someone's in immediate danger in front of you, you're not going to film them. Like if someone's pinned up or overboard, right, you'll help them if you can. But no, you get on the boat, you have 5 days with the team ahead of time, and it's up to the skipper to have that talk or not. And typically, they just want you to do the media job and boil the water, and that has never been a discussion. So,
yep.
Is there Sam? Is there a point where the drone becomes part of the MOB?
No, it's not written into any of the procedures that I've seen, and I imagine that if you were full time with the team, perhaps that's something they'd consider. But
I mean,
that's interesting.
What an advantage in bad visibility or whatever. Like if you're, I mean, the drone's so easy to put up now. You throw it up there, you can keep an eye on everything real well, can't you?
Well, yes, you could, but you have to take into account, it depends on the conditions.
Yep.
Your drone takes about 5 minutes to set up, and you may need to be getting reactions on deck. So you don't want to run down below now and be setting up a drone when the story's unfolding, and the person may get retrieved. And if you're not there, then, why are you there?
Yeah.
So you just have to do a cost benefit of whether, like if your drone was ready to go and it was down below, then
if you had just landed it, right? Yeah. But that's a great point. It really is a time game, and that's part of what makes these guys good at what they do is, you gotta, like Sam was saying, you got things staged, ready to go, shoot and when, and if anything bad happens.
Could save a life though. Could straight up save a life.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It could, but also, we're flying with this as the monitor, and oftentimes you'll be looking at your drone and you're looking at your monitor, and you really can't see small details. So I think if you had a FPV system or a large iPad, you might have a better chance. But it's also a 720p image. It's not fully HD'd out, so you may miss something from the sky with that setup we have on board. Also, glare on the screen, a lot of factors. But it's a great idea, and definitely it's where it's headed.
Yeah, and just to clarify again, like, your guys' number one priority is obviously to save the guy's life. So we understand that all this media stuff takes, a backseat to all that, but I totally get it. If the story's unfolding and there's no place for you on deck, and if that seems like where it was with Conrad, then he's rolling from the hatch and grabbing everything. I thought was great. Awesome.
Cool.
So, okay, one other incident, and Sam, we obviously don't want to compromise any investigations going on right now, but as far as the Vestas incident, just curious to hear where you were and how you heard about it on the boat.
Yeah, we can. I mean, I was on Team AkzoNobel last leg, and we were 2 hours behind them, and we effectively know about as much as everybody else does, minus the fact that we were in the vicinity. So I could sort of run you through it. We were in the last few hours of sailing into Hong Kong, and basically, jumped up in the bunk for a 30-minute power nap, and when I came down, just asked Jules what was going on, and it was a little more serious than usual. Obviously he's monitoring traffic, and there's a lot of traffic in that area. And he just said, there's been a collision between Vestas and a vessel. And, when that happens, just, you start wondering. It was a pretty serious moment, and everybody was just digesting this information. So basically, Jules is down below at the nav station on the radio and monitoring the comms between Vestas and the safety services radio, and we were 2 hours away, so we just assumed that when we got to the area, perhaps we'd be called to render assistance. And when we got to that area, we just stood by, and basically it was a really black, dark, murky night. I mean, r rollers, a bit of sea stay. It was a really not a nice place to be. But we stood by and watched the helicopter come and go, and were told everything was fine. So that was it. We just basically were on board, and everyone was on deck and ready to help. But it was a very serious situation, and everybody was just reacting and aware, and you could tell it wasn't a normal morning.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Well, certainly our thoughts go out to everyone affected by what happened, and yeah, I was just curious about what your perspective was on it.
Sam, could you? I mean, if you don't mind, of course. Could you tell me, when something like this happens, do you then go back and review what your protocol is, or have you already got it ingrained and drilled what you do in the event of serious injury or death and collisions and things like that?
Well, my protocol and OBR's protocol is different from the crew's protocol. Now we are there as storytellers, and if it doesn't directly affect us, we just start rolling. And so what the crew did was, they listened to the radio and listened to see if they needed to be helped, and they tried to assess the situation as best they could and waited until they had direct instructions from race control and stood by. But I can only assume what a sailing team would do, but I'm almost certain that, of course, they'd go back and they'd review the situation and say, all right, how can we be better than we already planned to be in this type of a scenario? It was incredibly impressive to listen to the safety services coordination side of it. That is a very well managed part of the earth if you're coming into Hong Kong, and we couldn't hear any of the radio comms on the Vestas side of things. So obviously, Sci-Fi Simon Fisher is an incredible communicator and a veteran of this race. So it's just like you said, it's hats off to everybody on the shore side and on the sea side who were involved in it, because that they did their very best. And the reaction time between when we got the call to when we arrived on scene and when the helicopter was finally called to when it arrived and left was just like that. So everybody was very focused.
All right, so Sammy, like changing gears again, moving into looking towards the next couple of legs. I mean, what's your creative process on board? I know for me, I had kind of my own motto I followed and kind of what got me through the day, and I basically just exhausted myself and told myself, don't leave any regrets. I literally told myself, I said, don't have any regrets when you step off the boat at the end of the race. So there'll be plenty of time to sleep after it, do 150%. And if you honestly, I felt like if I shot what I was happy with, then no matter what happened after the race, I would be happy with what I did. But I mean, what do you live by? What's getting you through the race?
It's like you said, to try and push it as much as you can to try and get those shots that you didn't get last time, whether it was improving your still photography or trying to get a better sailor profile, better storytelling, pushing it with the drone, going out in windier, wetter conditions. The biggest one is like on these Southern Ocean legs, it's forcing yourself to get out on deck as much as possible to shoot, because it's so easy to, well, it's not easy. It's not even easy to go out and shoot once a day when it's freezing cold, but you need to force yourself to, and leg 3 was a great training ground where started out for the first part of the leg, maybe only going up in the evening and shooting sunsets, but then realizing if I got myself to sleep during the day, I could wake up a few hours before sunset, shoot that, edit all night, and then shoot sunrise, go to bed for a little bit. And it's like you say, get comfortable being uncomfortable, and just keep shoot as much as you can, because the legs are over quick and then you're not going out there again. So we've got a really big Southern Ocean leg coming up, and I'm really excited to get the right food on board in my bag. I'm going to go buy a bunch of bottles of insurance, tuna fish packets.
Yes, I saw the request for insurance from everybody. Have you gotten any yet? Like, has anyone actually sent you any?
Yeah. Oh, they think I'm out of their mind. No, they think I'm a nutter. But basically, just going to make sure you got enough food on board so that you can maintain the energy you need, and it's like you say, get out there and push it.
All right, so Blakey beat you to the albatross shot in leg 3. What's the one shot that you have to get? What's on your
Well,
list?
we did have an albatross video in leg 2.
Okay, okay. Yeah, we weren't like flying right behind it. Like
No, Blakey
it was,
nailed that shot, and he
yeah,
got the albatross right in the frame, so he
droning,
absolutely
droning
nailed
the
it.
albatross. That's what we're talking about.
No, I think that it's big waves, it's big waves, big wind, and just that shot of Pirates of the Caribbean leaving Melbourne
Yeah.
back in the day. It's like if you can get that kind of footage with the drone, I think I'll feel pretty good. Anybody would, but yeah.
So whatever we see coming off the boat next leg, everybody pay attention to how big the waves are and how fast the wind is blowing to appreciate.
Yeah.
I like it.
Right on, right on.
Awesome. Sammy, that's
Thanks,
it, man.
Thanks so much, man. I hope we
Thanks
can
for
check
coming
back in with you again. But thanks for joining us. It's been a blast, and you're going to have a really, really exciting leg next time.
Yep, we'll be cheering you on. All the best.
Well, wish you guys all the best, and catch up with you later. Have a good one.
Sweet. Thanks a lot, man.
Later. All right, so a huge thank you to Sam Greenfield for taking the time, and hopefully I'm sure we'll have another special guest next time. But Sam's always great to talk to. And Matt, it is now time to go to our picks of best video for the leg. We're not going to go through 5 or 6 or 7 videos like usual because we gave Sam, well, he just has so much to say.
Because this is the halftime show. It's
Halftime show.
different.
That's
Yeah.
right.
All right.
And for me, I found a piece. There was a lot of great stuff. There was a lot of really special things about this last leg, at least like leg 4, because of the waters that it went through. But I found a piece that there was a segment in it that, to me, could have been in any $5 million Super Bowl ad. And that's kind of why it popped my head, because I just watched the Super Bowl ads, and it kind of looked like something that I would use in a Super Bowl ad. The production was brilliant. The storytelling was brilliant.
Harkin must have loved it.
Harkin must have loved it. And if they don't spend a lot of money for Martin Kurzweil, right?
Yep.
For that piece, that they need that, or to recreate it if they're don't feel like spending money. So let's have a look at Main On from Dongfeng Race Team.
Main On.
I mean, to me, like, first of all, the fact that they used Elodie, who I have a massive crush on anyway. Second of all, the way that it starts, Main On, is quiet, 2 little words that mean so much to anyone who's trimmed or helmed a boat in their lives, especially a downwind boat, an asymmetric boat. Main on, main on, main on. You think about that, it gets in your brain, it gets in your head, and then just running down the path like the Mousetrap game. Almost.
It's awesome. Like, you just see the cause and effect of everything. It's super creative. And this was a video that would have been there for the last race, and we missed out on it. Like, it's just really cool. The entire linear, connection of every single piece that goes on to trim a sail, which happens all the time on these boats. And he had to do a lot of planning in order to get this.
Yeah.
So, it probably took him several trims, and the guys probably helped him out with a couple of turns on the handles.
For a 40-second sequence.
Yeah, I mean, that took a lot of time to shoot, but it communicates really effectively. So this is the type of stuff that would be great to keep seeing, that really thinks outside of the box. That's why I love it.
What I like about this one too is that it, not only is it very understandable for the average person, which is rare for something technical like putting the main sheet on to make the boat drive faster, but it tells that story. What else does it really open something up for everybody else? And that's where the creativity comes in.
Definitely.
Think of what we can do now.
Plane.
Canting keel, rudder, takedown systems, furler. You can do it for all
how do you
these
make
things.
it better? How do you keep one-upping the other guy? Like, that's what this race is all about. So nice job, Martin. All right, we're going to switch to my pick, which was, of course, from Amory. Amo, hope you're watching. But I think everybody saw this. It was the drone footage of the whales, halfway across the Pacific
Oh
Ocean.
my God!
Yeah.
Whale feeding, dolphins,
Never seen this
tuna,
stuff
like
before.
everything. I have. You know where I
was
saw
cool.
it? I saw on Blue Planet the $30 million production that takes 7
was
years,
awesome.
and this was every bit as good as some
Yep.
of that stuff that they shot. I mean, what an amazing, again,
Yep.
opens up the world a little bit too.
It's really cool. Now you got to start looking for wildlife whenever you're going, not just the dolphins. The dolphins are there every other hour, but this stuff, yeah, I'm sure it happens all the time. So
You know what else I like about this too is that we watched this already, right?
no, not yet. Let's check it out.
Let's check it out.
The ocean's getting a bit of a bad rap right now for, being unhealthy and everything, but we've just passed an amazing scene of some sort of whale feeding on a big pot of fish and heaps of birds around, so it's pretty spectacular. It's something that you don't get to see every day, and it's nice to know that there is a bit of healthiness and the wildlife are doing well in the oceans.
Like, that is so cool. Look at that.
It's incredible.
I mean, it's stepping back from the artistry of the media. It's just really cool to actually witness something that's this innocent. I mean, even you feel like a large production, the whales might know that they're there. They're on a sailboat drifting along, and these guys are the animals are just totally in their element, and you really feel like you're kind of perched on something you shouldn't be watching, and that's what's so cool about it.
That's one of the many things that's so cool about it. To me, here's what I like about it. I've done a lot of miles in the Pacific, Galapagos and Mexico and all these areas that are teeming with wildlife, and the number of times that I wished I could see what was really going on counts in the tens of or hundreds or thousands. And I'm telling you what, all the cruisers that are out there, all the passage makers, all the ocean racers, everyone feels the exact same way. We've all seen the splash. We want more. And this is proving that you can do it.
And it'd be funny to hear from Amo like how this actually went down. But I suspect it's kind of like, hey, what's going on over there? Get the drone up. One of the guys probably said, and they flew over, and just so happened you strike gold with it. It was really, really cool.
And I think we'll see more and more of it because now the OBRs are thinking in another direction. Let me think about little distance splashes. Maybe I'll send it up for that.
You never know what you're going to see.
Good
Nice.
Good stuff.
All right.
Man. All right.
Sweet. Awesome picks. We're going to go talk about this leg now, right?
So as we speak, the teams are, 9 days in?
Yeah.
I think you said? Is that
they're
right?
just off. It looks like they're just nearby Guam at the moment, but rocketing towards New Zealand. I mean, we talked to Sam about what the OBRs are going through right now. They're going to have to transition another doldrums pretty soon. Last race, it actually wasn't that bad. I think we spent maybe a day there, but you never know what it's going to be like. And then after
you're not
that,
going through in the exact same spot, though, are you?
Not always the same time. Like not. This leg's going to be really similar to the last leg. I mean, one started from Hong Kong and one started from where was it? Sanya, right? So you're going through kind of the same stretch of water. It's really the exact same game plan as we're seeing right now, where they're trying to get west first to catch the trades to go south, and it's always contradictory when you're trying to get down all the way to New Zealand. But they're basically reaching far south, and then yeah, you'll see where they come out at, but they're going to go past some islands probably as well. I know my guys made tons of fun of the U.S. dropping lots of nuclear bombs around Micronesia when we were going through there, but you know, to the only American on board, they thought that was pretty funny. But then they're going to go down the beautiful coastline of the North Island, which is just some of the prettiest sailing you'll ever do.
Really protected too, and that plays into like the just the how pumped I am to see more wildlife videos. I like.
That'd be sweet.
It's got a lot of potential. We've talked for years about this race, and you know, there was Puma Ocean Racing had a project to measure the salinity of water around the world, and other teams in other races have done garbage collection, the plastic gyre. We have a chance to do some biological sciences from aboard these boats now. There's no question that there are whale researchers that have already combed through this.
Oh, definitely.
Scripps,
it's cool.
And that have looked at it and are trying to identify those whales so they can put them in the database. Like, that's amazing stuff coming out of a sailboat race.
Yep. No, it's cool, and I hope we see more of that. I think the other cool thing is going to be when they get into, I mean, the whole race into Auckland is usually pretty cool to watch. I mean, for us, I know it was like us, Dongfeng, and Mapfre. And the whole race was decided by like 2 clouds as we came out of the doldrums, and then Mapfre went on to take it. So there's a lot that can happen down there.
How about this one? Blair Tuke.
Yeah.
Right, leading the race right now, heading into his hometown.
He's going to get quite the fanfare going in there.
And what about his partner in the America's Cup in the Olympics, Pete Burling? Like, that adds an element to this race that wasn't there the last time around. It's really, really cool.
Well, it'll be awesome to see what happens.
It's going to be exciting, and we do have a little bit of breaking news. It's still sort of rumor, but there is actual news reported by Tip and Shaft, which is a French site that you should check out, tipandshaft.com, I think. They broke the story that the president of IMOCA, which is the Open 60, the Vendée Globe, that class, was in Hong Kong, as were other fairly important people in both worlds, to discuss bringing not Open 60s or foiling 60s like was the proposal at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of last year, but instead bringing Open 60s into the Volvo Ocean Race. That in fact, one of the leading proposals right now for the next Volvo Ocean Race in 3 years' time is Open 60s, foiling Open 60s, but any Open 60s that measure for IMOCA being open into the Volvo Ocean Race, if they can pay the fees and meet the other requirements, there would be new boats built, and it could be very exciting. So it's a possibility.
Hey,
and,
you never know what's going to happen, and I tell you, it'd be a lot more comfy than a 65, that's for sure. So nice to be shooting from protection.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at the Boatfeed, I think, on YouTube, on Instagram, but Facebook is where we're going to have some photo pics for you from this leg coming up, I think, tonight. I think Matt's going to be on it, and all sorts of other stuff.
And thanks to our sponsors, INMARSAT and MUSTO, for making all this possible, and we'll look forward to seeing you next leg for the Boatfeed. Thanks for stopping by.
Like and share.
Thank you.